we were at Hat Point to a
We were
Backwoods.
we were at Buckhorn.
Oh, Buckhorn?
Yeah.
That's right, it was Buckhorn at the Lookout. And they were giving some political speeches, and we were up there. And the kids were working. We were back there. They were working. Tina was working, supposed to be working in Joseph, but she had laid them off that day or let them off that day. And so she'd gotten in a car with some other kids, and they were drinking.
Had a wreck.
And they had a wreck. We took the van over to Walla Walla. They flew her over to Walla Walla in a helicopter. We took the van because we knew we could put her in the van and bring her home. And we got to Walla Walla. We realized it was much worse than just picking her up and bringing her home. She was a head injury. And she had flown out of this pickup and hit on the ground on her head and one arm. So when you have a head injury, and she was in a coma for a week, just under a week.
Under a week.
Yeah, and when you start coming out of a coma, you learn to do everything from the beginning again. You learn to. Yeah,
much quicker.
Yeah, I was worried. I asked the doctor. I said it took 17 years to get to this point. Is it going to take 17 years to get there again? And he said, no, much quicker. It'll be closer between 6 months and 2 years. So we started at birth. She learned to feed herself. She learned to walk. She learned to talk. She learned to...
She was out walking the guy who was teaching her how to walk.
Yeah.
I never will forget that.
Yeah, she could walk faster than he would.
He had been in a car wreck, too.
Yeah. But... for a long time, she didn't know where she was, and she thought she was in the boys' dorm. Then she thought she was in Hawaii. Then she thought she was in a girls' dorm waiting for the boys to come into the dorm, and slowly but surely, with the therapy and the physical therapy and the speech therapy and all the other therapies, she came home, and we did more therapy at home, and she had to relearn everything she had to learn. She had to start again in remedial math, remedial English, everything at the beginning. And so that year at school, I asked for a couple of periods that I didn't teach. And we went over everything, getting along socially, starting with the lessons again and learning the lessons. And she only had 1 year to catch up to go to college. And she was going to go to college. So she
went to
Boise State. And part of in choosing Boise State, they had a big head injury center there. And so if she needed help, there was help. And she never used them. She took 6 hours, credit hours, the first year because I said, I don't care how long it takes.
The first term?
Yeah, the first term. I don't care how long it takes you. If it takes longer than 4 years, that's fine. You have to work at it slowly and get back. She took swimming and an art class.
An art class.
And she came home at Christmas with this little thing.
That wouldn't stand up.
It wouldn't stand up. It was about this tall. And we teased her and talked about it between the two of us. There's our $6,000 gift. But 6 years later, she graduated. And 4 years after that, she has her master's. And
both daughters have masters.
Both daughters have masters now. And she's doing great. She's doing great. So we're fine. But that took up the senior year, her accident. And we went from liens on her house to, I decided at that time, insurance companies, if you have a little claim, they pay it right away. If you have a big claim, they come up with all kinds of excuses not to pay it. First they claimed we were divorced and that my insurance wouldn't cover Tina because she should be in his custody, and I mean, they just fought. But we all came out of it. Richard Whitty came up and told us there's been
Called.
He called, that's right. And told us that there'd been an accident and that Tina was down at the hospital. And we ran out, got in the car, and Ken ran over somebody's backpack. And I knew she was just fine because I could see her moving in there. But they kept saying, Carolyn, that doesn't mean a thing. And when they were telling us what had happened to her and that she was in ICU and that she was in a coma, and as I questioned other things, you know, the broken wrist and the other things, their reply every time was, the wrist isn't correct. It wasn't fixed correctly. And when I questioned it, they said, Carolyn, all we're trying to do is keep her alive. So it's a slow process of realizing that it was as bad as it was. And I always thought, it's strange, but when you think, I think donors are a good idea, and when it hit home, you're not going to take one part of her out of her. We'll take care of her whole, you know. And it was a selfish thing, and it was just a reaction, but that's the way it was. You don't ever know how you're going to react.
On the other hand, there was a boy that had been hit by a tree.
Yeah.
And his parents were there at the same time we were there.
Yeah. And he only went through part of the therapy because he didn't have enough insurance.
He didn't have enough insurance.
And you could sure tell the difference whether you had good insurance or whether you didn't have insurance by the care you got. But we moved over there. Ken's cousin gave us a trailer house. We pulled it over there. I stayed the entire time. Ken came over on weekends.
I was going to take care of the
Bills. That was his job.
I didn't.
Well, it's like, there's no way one person could. We hired a lawyer finally.
Yeah.
But every day, we went through every day. Watched every day. As she got better and better and better and better every time. It's like a chicken and an egg thing. You don't know what you're doing that's stimulating her brain to do it, or her brain is rebuilding itself, and so it took the stimulation. Because they told us there'd be no change after 2 years, and you can't tell me there's not even a change after 2 years. She's still growing and growing and growing, so, yeah. Oh, I remember one time in the hospital, two times in the hospital. I don't know about Ken's. Oh, yeah, he had a time too.
I passed out one time.
Yeah, slid down the floor.
That was
right. That was right at the beginning. And he talked to a psychologist there.
They sent me to a psychologist so quick I didn't know what happened.
And the psychologist said she will be fine. Made Ken feel a whole lot better. There were 2 times with me. One time when one of the specialists came in and he read a story to her. It was really short, and then she was supposed to tell the story back, so you could tell how much cognizance there was there. And I can't tell you now what the story was about, but I can tell you what she told us. And it was about a baseball game, and it had nothing to do with the story that she had been read. And a week later, he came back again. He read her a story. He asked the same questions, and she repeated the story word for word and answered every question. I started to bawl. I knew we had just made a big leap, huge leap that she could learn. And so I remember that one because you made a big leap, Tina. The second time, you go day after day after day after day, and I went down. I was in an elevator, and all of a sudden it just hit me, and I slid down the side of the elevator and started to bawl. And the people that were in the elevator said, "Are you all right? Are you all right?" Of course, I said, "I'm fine. I will be fine. Just give me a little time." Those 2 times. Other than that, we did it. You did it, Tina. Okay, that's it. Next question. That part of our life is now closed. Yeah.
No.
Should we take a break now? Okay. Or should
I
we
don't
keep
think
going?
that'll ever be closed though.
I know, honey.
But you did it.
It's a big deal.
I didn't know you.
You did it. Yep, you did it. It took a lot of love. Yeah. A lot of commitment, a lot of dedication, a lot of hope,
A lot of therapy.
a lot of therapy. You did it. You both had good jobs that were very supportive of it.
Yes, yes, very. Our superintendent over it said we were back in time for school, but he said if you're not, don't worry about it.
Yeah. A lot of good co-workers. I know
Yeah.
that people at the fish hatchery were supportive of Dad too. Yeah.
Did you get quite a bit of time off to be at the hospital?
I must have, because I was over there quite a bit.
Yeah, it didn't matter. Everybody just let us do what we needed to do. And I guess that's part of being in a small town. Everybody just lets you do what you need to do. And I know one time the superintendent and his wife came over and sat with her because I needed a break. So everybody just did what you needed to do.